Hello, this is Maya Andreasen, and welcome back. Today we are going to go over how to prep our model for rigging. So the model you'll be using for this class was created by the wonderful artist Isaac Oster, and we are using it with his permission. Um, we already went over how to create our custom shelf in the previous lesson. So now what we're going to do is File, Set Project, and we're going to find our project. So here's my project. It's the Red Faction Proj, and I'm going to click Set. And then I'm going to open Scene. Oh, actually what I'm going to do is import my scene. So the model is actually an OBJ. So I'm going to import it. So the character is imported. His textures are not on him yet. So if you would like to add textures, what we need to do is we need to go to our Hypershade. There it is. And for right now, what I'm going to do is just apply a simple Lambert. So I'm going to go to Create Materials Lambert, and I'm just going to call it RF Shader for right now. I'm going to click on the checkerboard icon for color, click File, and since we set our project, it's going to take us directly to our source images folder, and so the diffuse is the channel is what we're going to select. We are then going to go back to the shader, the basic shader, and we are going to go to, let's go over to our attribute editor, because the attributes sometimes have more options over here, and as you can see, we do have more options. So we're going to go to Ambient, File. I believe I saw an ambient color. I did. So we're going to load that guy up. Hit Shader again. Let's go into the source images, see the other two that we have. We have a normal and we have a spec. So in order for this to be a spec, we actually need to change this from a Lambert to a Blinn or a Phong. So I'm just going to change it to a Blinn. And we are going to have to change the name. So we're just going to call it Red Faction RF Shader in order to get specular. So this will go into the specular color channel. And we will choose spec. And then we also have a bump map or a normal map. So I'm going to go to File. We're going to change bump to tangent space normals. And then we're going to click this black arrow, which will take us to where we can load up our file. And we're going to load up our normal map. And so next thing we need to do is we just need to apply that to the character. So we'll just assign an existing material, and then if we hit 6 on our keyboard, we can see that here is our model. Alright, so now that we have the model and we have all of our textures loaded, let's save this. So we're going to save scene as, I'm going to save it as a Maya ASCII, and I'm going to save it as my name. And we're going to call this RF version 01. So RF for Red Faction. You could also call it RF Rig if you wanted to. And we're going to do version 01 and click Save. So there's going to be many different versions of this. Alright, so now that we have done this, another thing that is really important in terms of setup is kind of mapping the points as to where the major joints are going to be. So the easiest way to do that is to map out the front and side view. I'm going to hit print screen to save, basically make a screenshot, and I'm going to open Photoshop 2020. And once Photoshop is opened, we're going to paste the screenshot, and we will then be able to use a simple brush tool to create the points as to where we want them to go. So while we're waiting for that, let's go into the right side view. Here we go. And once this loads, we will create new. All right, well, it's taking its sweet time. Oh, here we go. Create new, clipboard, create, and Control V. All right, so here this is. I'm just going to do this. And there we have our image. All right, let's go back here. Let's close the hypershade and zoom into our model. And we're going to print screen again. Go back to Photoshop, Control N for new, Control V, and I'm simply going to select him in the side view. Control A, Control C, so Control A to copy, Control C to paste, Control plus to zoom in, Control V. All right, so here is my model, and we're actually going to move him over a bit. And let's see if these guys are lined up, because we want to make sure they are lined up perfectly. And it looks like they almost are. All right. And let's make sure they're lined up here. And so they are. All right, that's great. So it doesn't have to be perfect and pretty. You just have to make sure that they're lined up. We're going to make another layer right above them. Hit B for brush. And you can use the brackets to make it a little bigger. And this is where we want to start pinpointing where, right, the major joints will be. Okay, so if my hip joints are here, then I'm just lining them up on this line, then that's where the hip joint will be. And so if we put the knee joint there, it has to be over here as well, right? And the ankle joint, ball joint, toe joint, right? We know the ankle joint is going around about there. Okay, and so on and so forth. You want the base of the spine to be lined up perfectly with the hips, so that would go there, and then we would, you know, make our spine joints in roughly a straight line. This might be where my neck joint is. This might be where my clavicle, shoulder, right? Elbow, wrist, head joint, and so on and so forth. So this is just a very good way to kind of lay out ahead of time where the major joints of the model are going to go. And I would save it for reference. It could come in handy later on. All right, so back to the model. We want to add our model to a layer, so we're going to go back to channels and we're going to go to display layers. With the model selected, I'm going to go to layer, create layer from selected, double click on the layer and name the layer model underscore layer. And then I'm going to hit save. And the reason I want to do this is while I am building my joints, I want to have the model as a reference. If you hit this empty square right here, this creates a T, and that makes us that puts us in template mode. I hit Control B or Alt B right then just to change the mode. If I hit R, this is reference mode, so no matter how much I try to select the model, I cannot. And if I hit it again, I'm back into regular mode and the model is selectable. So that's very important. The next thing we want to do is we want to make a series of empty groups. And we're going to make, these groups are where we're going to be putting our joints, our control curves, and our model. So this character, I'm just going to call it RF master. Oops. I wanted to get rid of the AO. I thought I hit delete. All right, so RF master, or we can hit just RF model. Makes it a little more clear. Control G to group, and this is going to be G underscore model 01. So that's our first group. Now the next group we are going to make, we're going to go to create empty group. Okay, now to add empty group to our shelf, you hit Control and Shift and go create empty group. And why is this not okay? Create. There we go. I really have to press down on my Control and Shift right now. All right, so this first one, let's make a couple more. This first one is going to be global move 01. This next one is going to be RF underscore rig 01. So this is our main rig. This next one will be joints 01. Excuse me. Another one will be control curves 01. And I think that's all we need, at least for now. So we're going to select joints and control curves. I'm pressing Control to select things, and then please select global move last. Whenever you select something last, that will be the parent. I'm going to hit P on my P as in parent, or P, or Penelope, and that will parent the children to the parent. All right, so P as in parent is the keyboard shortcut. You can also go to edit parent. That also works. All right, so the actual rig, so both the global move and the model are going to be parented to the rig. And so we'll hit P to parent. And here you can find everything. If you hit Shift and the plus sign, that will open up the entire rig. Otherwise, let's close these. Otherwise, if I were just to open this, it would just look like this. But if you wanted to see everything, you would just Shift and the plus will open everything up. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do. So for those of you who are following along, this is not something you have to do for Maya 2 class. You can if you want to. So if you would like to rig up, say, the make some controls for the ammunition packs, or make a control for these the packs that he has on his belt packs. If you wanted to make a control or controls for the grenades, this whole model has been combined, so you would need to separate things. So what you could do is select the entire thing and go extract, but what that's going to do is that's going to extract everything. Now, if you want to have some shoulder controls that make it so that these shoulders are like separate, then hey, you can do that. I mean, you can articulate everything, but we're not going to get quite that crazy. So if I double click on all of these things, sorry about that, then it will select them because they all used to be separate objects. With the exception of the belt packs, the flaps here need to be double clicked as well. So I'm just going to select these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 objects, and I'm going to go to modeling, and I believe it's under edit mesh extract. So what that's going to do is it's going to make a bit of a mess over here in my model. So I'm going to go and I'm going to first off select the entire model and freeze delete history. That gets rid of that transform node, freeze transformations, and then go and name things. So this is my model. So this is RF model. Oopsie. Model. And you could do 01 at the end if you wanted to. We're not going to. This is going to be ammo 01. This will be ammo 02 and ammo 03. This is one of the packs. All right, so this and this need to be combined. So I'm going to do mesh combine. We're going to get rid of the history, freeze transformations, put it back here for now. So this will be pack BK because it's in the back. Let's see. Yeah, so this next one, mesh combine, delete history, P to parent. So this will be pack. I guess that's going to be on his right side. R pack. See, hit the space bar instead of. All right, and then these two right here, mesh combine. Let's delete that history. And this will be L pack. All right, so lastly, we are going to shift select all of these and parent them to the model. We don't need this doubling of grouping, so I'm just going to delete that group. So we have the entire model here, and we have these separate pieces here that we can rig later on, and they should all be a part of the model layer. If they aren't, what we could do is we can select the group and we can add selected objects, and now they are part once again of our models layer. And that is really how we prep our model for rigging. So until next time, bye-bye.